Friendo here, and this is for rkwatson in regards to her updates following the massive shitstorm that came out of one of her videos. I don't think you're doing yourself any favors with this video. And I left a comment on the video, but after giving it some thought, figured that I need to make a video response because she said this.
So I hope that helps. Thank you again to everybody who's commented. I haven't really read any of them in the past few weeks.
Now, see, the thing is that you had a message in your last video for which the intended audience was men.
Just a word to the wise here, guys.
And there's a message for men here too, at least a portion of men who would disagree with her.
So I would recommend that you look at other ways to maybe get your rocks off. Like, I don't know, maybe one of those dolls. They sell those they're kind of expensive, I think. I don't know. I've never priced one myself, but I've seen a documentary on it, and they're lifelike, but their mouths are only used for sucking, you know, so no worries about them very calmly giving you advice on how to approach a woman.
You see, men work the same way. Our mouths are not just for making sex. They are for expressing our opinions. And if you're going to aim a message at males, even if it's just men in the atheist community, but in this case, males, then you have to prepare for a response. You have to address criticism. Understand that this is a dialogue. When you are in a community and you attempt to facilitate communication or communicate to that community, you will often get responses. This isn't something that someone should have to explain to you. Criticism will occur. The higher profile you are, the more often it will occur. I apologize. I am sorry that you are receiving so many stupid and hateful comments. But that's not all the comments you're receiving. There's some criticism in there. Criticism you can address, but you haven't. Instead, you've gone the route of insults. You have gone down to that lowest common denominator. You're taking the low road, and it's not doing you any good. There are no actual arguments in this video, and that is a very poor way for a skeptic to respond to criticism. And for someone who has this kind of an ambition.
You know, the point of me uploading the video previously wasn't necessarily to give sex advice, but to give advice on how we as a community might go about making our community a more inviting one to women.
It really eats into your credibility. This is the internet. There are going to be idiots and trolls. And there are going to be people who will respond to you more harshly than you deserve when they feel slighted or insulted by things that you've said. But there's no apology here. There's no olive branch. Just more insults. You're making the impression that anyone who criticizes you is just too stupid to understand the fundamental points that you represent.
So, you know, most normal people get that, and they can then go forward and flirt with members of the opposite sex in a normal manner that may or may not result in sex for them.
Let me see if I can explain this. Not every woman in the atheist community experiences sexism. You've said so. So when you speak about sexism, you can really only speak in reference to your own experiences. So that only makes you an expert in your own experiences. So when you say, men, you should know not to do this, That's only really in reference to you. Now, I happen to agree with this basic point. What the man did was inappropriate. But how inappropriate? What level of inappropriate? The point Dawkins made was to say he did something that's not wrong. He just did it at the wrong time. He did it in the wrong way. Now, your story has changed a little bit.
Remember how I politely suggested that guys might not want to corner a woman in an elevator at 4 in the morning that you've never met and invite her back to your hotel room?
And those are interesting differences. Now he's cornering you, and the fact that he asked you to come talk with him over coffee isn't brought up. Just, hey, come to my room, with the image of him going like this. The differences are notable. But then there's also this little one.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I find you very interesting and I would like to talk more. And despite the fact that I've never talked to her before.
And I hope I'm not reading too deep into this. And that's the thing with he said, she said. You have to be looking at the bigger picture and the higher argument. And you're not. You're focusing on this I was polite thing. I said this politely, so how could it erupt this way? The guy was polite by your account. He complimented you. He asked you a question. You refused, and you both went your ways. That's polite. Just because it's polite doesn't mean it won't be offensive. Just because you had an intent doesn't mean it's going to be perceived that way, that it's going to be received that way. Forgive me if that wasn't your message. But in reference to what you've said in this video, that's my message to you. If you want to talk to men, if you want to get us to change our ways, you need to learn how to talk to men. Don't look at us as poltroons. Don't look at us as idiots who have to be lectured to. Look at us as adults with whom you will have a conversation. I will hazard a guess that when you start doing this frequently, if you drop the pretense of knowing everything important about sex, sexism, being able to label men as misogynists just offhandedly because they did something in a context that you didn't appreciate, then you will find that men will deal with you differently. When you change the way you approach the dialogue, when you change the way you approach the community, they will change the way they approach, the way they deal with you. I can't make you any promises about individuals, but that is my prediction over the long haul. The type of criticism that you get and the scope of the criticism you get is in response to the things you say. It's not that all these men hate women. It's not that they're all misogynists. Oh, that's there. I agree with you there. And the atheist community does need skepticism. It does need people taking it apart where it deserves. And that's what skepticism is about. Skeptics aren't immune to skepticism. And you're not either. The higher profile you become, the more criticism you will get. And you will have to learn how to address it.